Hello, everybody. Dr. F Scott Feil here, and I wanted to give you a quick update on our main sponsor, Ice Shaker. If you're looking for a water bottle, a coffee cup, a protein shaker bottle, I have great news. Your search has ended. Ice Shaker has shaker bottles, tumblers, sports bottles, and the newest addition, and my personal favorite, the gallon and half-gallon jugs. These bad boys are both massive and sturdy and keep drinks cold for hours on end. This has been my answer to making sure I drink enough water throughout my day. I've still kind of come around to the protein game and I'm new at it still, but when my doctor advised me to increase my protein intake, I turned to powdered shakes. Every other shaker bottle on the market had its issues, but Ice Shaker is the only one I tried that was vacuum sealed, had no issues with clumps or smell, and it really kept my drinks the right temperature. I love this product and I love the company and the guys behind it as they are doing amazing things and simply winning. Not only in the world of shaker bottles and sports bottles and tumblers, but in the game of life. Their partnerships and charitable donations have not gone unnoticed by the Professors of Profit Pops crew. So if you want the best beverage consumption and protein shaker solution on the market, check out the link in our show notes to grab yours today. You can even customize them with laser engraving, just like I've got here for our pteducator.com, right? And, I promise you won't be disappointed with these stainless steel products. They're all colors, all sizes. You've got to check them out. Ice Shaker, let's shake things up. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Professors of Profit vlogcast. I'm your host, Dr. F Scott Feil, and I've got with me Dr. Mark Shepard, who apparently didn't have enough on his plate already. He decided he was going to throw in EMT training, emergency medical training. EMS, I think, is another kind of acronym that you hear about it, emergency medical services. But Mark, thanks for coming on today, man. Tell us a little bit about your background and how it's led you to now not only physical therapy, but EMT stuff as well.
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it succinct, but what I do for my physical therapy day job is I serve as program director for the orthopedic and manual physical therapy program at Bellin College. Been doing that for a while now, which is such a fun job. I also have some teaching responsibility in Bellin College's new DPT program that started last year. So that's also keeps me quite busy. Clinically, I work about half a day a week in a clinic for Johns Hopkins Health System here in Maryland. I'm based out of Maryland, and Bellin College is located in Green Bay. And part of the reason why I like to mention that is the reason why I wanted to get into the fire department type thing. And really that's kind of what got me into EMT in the first place, was because I have these jobs that were kind of outside of the community I actually lived in. Like I don't treat in the community I live in. I also don't have my day job as what I do in the community. I mean, it's in Wisconsin. So, I have a hybrid job, in a lot of different ways. And I really wanted to serve my nuclear, like the community I physically lived in. And part of that was through kind of a freak event, if you will. My daughter had a birthday party that she went to in 2020, I believe it was, right before the pandemic. And we were at the fire department and we were doing a tour as part of the party. And I was just kind of like, this seems pretty interesting. This is kind of cool. People kind of gathered around a living area and just seeing all the expertise you really need in order to ride a fire engine or be on an ambulance or be a paramedic just stimulated me. And that percolated for months and months because I knew it was going to be a huge undertaking. And I just could not get the thought out of my mind. So that's what led me down that path. And over the past several years, I've been training steadily to become proficient enough to be able to ride the equipment.
That's awesome, man. One of the things that you touched on there that I want to go back to is you really wanted to immerse yourself in the community, right? And help and give back to the community. Well, let's say somebody has a physical therapist job as, let's say, an outpatient PT, 9 to 5 or something like that, or 410s, they're working Monday through Thursday maybe, and they want to do some EMT stuff, or like you said, like volunteer firefighter type stuff, right? I mean, that is a great way to not only immerse yourself in the community, but then help people after the fact, right? If they have an injury or an accident or something, you get them on the ambulance, you get them to the hospital, they get fixed up, they get better, they go home. You can always let them know, hey, also, I'm a physical therapist too. If you need any rehab, I'd love to help you out. Just I'll keep in touch with you and keep me posted. Let me know how it goes. Right? That is like unbelievable immersion in the community, because you're seeing them from injury all the way
Yeah.
through to rehab there. So a super cool niche there that you can, possibly get into a little bit through that. So, but tell us a little bit about the training you talked about. That it seems like it was pretty aggressive for a while there. So tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. So EMT specifically is robust and rigorous training as you would expect it to be. So as an EMT, you're a basic life support as opposed to a paramedic who is advanced life support. So they're going to be going to kind of the scarier, if you will, calls, the more advanced. So cardiac arrest, any types of lacerations that with significant blood loss, shock, those types of things. Paramedics should be on those calls. But EMTs very well are on the same calls as well, and sometimes may show up first to those calls, and it's our job to learn to call for extra help. So, we need to be trained up to provide as best care as we can, and to kind of know scope of practice, just like we do as a physical therapist. So the training is the training I went through was through a local community college, and it was a 10 credit course, and I forgot how much 10 credits were in addition to a full-time job. And I would say it was the challenge of training for me was actually just time management. It was almost as much of a burden as going through my terminal doctorate was, if not a little bit harder, because there was a lot more homework. So it was a lot of, taking a full semester, 10 credits was what I had to do for training. But there's other, kind of local organizations for training where you have to go through, over 160 hours or some of training to do that. So, typically if you're going to be doing it through like a fire or EMT training program, you're going to be going, anywhere from 2 to 3 days a week, where you're going to have lecture and lab based, kind of similar to what you get in any type of school. But it's going to be for anywhere from 4 to 6 months to get trained up on this. So it's a significant time that you need to do it. But we would hope that that's the case. These are the people who are coming to see you on your worst day. You want them to be skilled enough in order to do that. And luckily for me, it was nothing new, as far as like having lecture lab, a lot of lab psychomotor stuff. So it just felt like I was back in PT school or even in fellowship training where you're practicing stuff. And, as an older student, if you will, it was kind of fun to be in class with, 17, 18-year-olds who were like just getting into what they want to do later in life. So it's just a lot of fun. And I continued to learn a lot more and had that PT mindset in the background.
Yeah, speaking of which, like, tell us a little bit about why you think it's a good fit. Why should PTs or clinicians or professors or whatever in the healthcare field consider doing something like an EMT training?
Yeah, I think, from just kind of common sense, you say, well, it's health related. We do a lot of these things. I think it's so important as a PT to be able to have, basic life support knowledge. And I think about a lot of the stuff we were learning, as basic foundational assessment skills. These are things that inpatient physical therapists and PTs who work in emergency departments do on a daily basis. Things like blood pressure, things like respiratory rate, checking vitals. That was something we did ad nauseum in this class. And the cool thing, and I actually tweeted about this, is that here I see 17, 18, 20-year-olds who are in this class. They're, not healthcare practitioners yet. They're taking blood pressures and they're doing it well. And so when I see PTs kind of complain an outpatient, oh, I don't want to take the time to do vitals, I'm like, are you kidding me? There's 17-year-olds who are doing this really proficiently. So it's just a good reminder for me that, we need to be doing these things. And it was just, it's one of those skills as an EMT, you just have to be able to do. That's like the first kind of thing you're doing when you come in. And, So there's a lot of that overlap there from an inpatient side, and I really see a lot of this growth into the emergency department, and it's really helpful, I think, to have that vantage point if you're working in an environment like that to know kind of what happens on the pre delivery, if you will, of that person to the emergency department. And so it's kind of nice to have that perspective of what a medic may be doing, what an EMT may be doing, why they may be splinting someone a certain way, why they may be documenting certain things that are helpful for you to understand. So for me, there was a lot of good overlap there, and it's nice to have, as a physical therapist, the knowledge of the body systems and anatomy that kind of gave me a leg up for the early part in the course. So that was really neat.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you think this is like a side gig or a side hustle that could be done as a student?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the challenge would be, wanting to do the training during PT school. I think you'd have to be a special student with really good time management skills. And I would say, as even as an educator, same with you. It's a part-time job in order to get trained to do this. So coming into PT school, if you already are an EMT, it's a great way to continue to stay clinically relevant in your program, because you're going to be doing things like vital assessment and transfers and things along those lines. But yeah, there's a lot of counties and organizations that want to pay EMTs to do certain things, especially in areas where there's a need and they need EMTs. So definitely can be a part-time gig. And I think part of it you need to look into is, what the typical hours that are required. And for me, in my county, we typically do 12-hour shifts, but you can do shorter if you wanted to. But that seems to be 12 to 24 hours can be very helpful for certain departments and organizations. So, if you wanted to do something over the weekend, overnight, there's a lot of opportunities to make that happen, and you get great field experience, great clinical experience as you do it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Tell me a little bit about, just big picture takeaway here. I mean, this to me seems like either way you go, if you're an EMT before going to PT school, or if you're in PT school then becoming an EMT, I mean, if we're going into a doctoral profession, things like vital signs assessment and stuff need to be, I mean, standard, right? I mean, we all should be doing it on every patient all the time, So from a big picture, it seems like it would be a super helpful thing to have either on your resume or just as life experience, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And even I'll give you an example of what's been helpful for me as an educator having this experience. And this is something that I've brought back to my program is, CAPTE requires, some emergency preparedness, as part of your curriculum. And we decided as a program that it would be nice to, share some of my experience. And what I always struggled with as a student, even though you're trained to do CPR, you're certified and whatnot, a lot of times you never really do CPR. And you might have some simulations in school and whatnot, but we're really trying to, make sure that students understand what emergencies could happen in outpatient or even inpatient settings, and then just reviewing what does CPR look like? How would you perform it? Like, get used to doing something like that so that, God forbid, that happens, which it can, what to do. And same, if there's an emergency, if someone falls in your clinic, they can't get up, or a change in mental status, what does that potentially mean? Having some of those skill sets there, I think, are really important for students to understand. So, my experience there and bringing that back to say, this is what I've seen, this is what I've learned. Here's some things that would be helpful as, a first responder, to be like, hey, when we come, or, even in a hospital setting, when a crash team comes and you're already there doing compressions and have an AED, already set up, that is a great thing. That's what EMTs and paramedics want to see in those scenarios. So it's been really helpful to just be like, all right, this is what I can take back to the communities I work with. and see how it can translate there just as much as it's helped me personally, do a better job as an EMT or a firefighter.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think, we teach our students, CPR, Heimlich maneuver, AED, like those are just basics really. And if you know that, you're already, one leg up on EMT stuff. And so I think it makes a whole lot of sense. It's a really good alignment for sure. Well, Mark, thank you so much, man, for coming on and just educating my audience about an interesting side gig and side hustle there, and how it kind of aligns in the healthcare field, keeping that one foot in the boat. Where can people reach out to you if they have more questions or just want to follow up and see what you're up to these days?
Yeah, so you can follow up with me. I'm pretty active on Twitter. So I'm at Shep SHEP DPT. You can find me on Instagram. I don't really do as much professional posting there. It's more personal, but you can find me there. It's Mark_H_Shepherd SHEPHERD. You can find me there, but that's pretty much where I am socially. And then you can reach out to me, Bell in College. You can find my email and whatnot there, and reach out to me professionally if you wish there as well.
Awesome. Well, we'll put all those links in the show notes so you're easy to find.
All
Mark,
right.
always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for taking your time to come on and talk about this stuff.
Anytime. Appreciate it.